Hello and welcome to gusmcdollgames, and thank you to our subscribers. I'm Nick McDowell, and today we're continuing the Allied Grand Campaign in Close Combat: A Bridge Too Far, a game based on the Battle of Arnhem, Operation Marketgarden. In this series we use the missions in the Allied Grand Campaign to illustrate one or more aspects of World War II infantry minor tactics at the company level and below. Each episode we conduct basic mission analysis, develop and analyse possible courses of action, then decide and execute the plan in real time, followed by lessons learned. Please remember to like the video and subscribe for more great strategy and tactics content, and if you want to buy me a coffee, the links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. In this episode we're in the Eindhoven sector, the Schijndel area of operations. Our objective is the Schijndel Sand Dunes. It is day 3 of Operation Marketgarden, 0600 hours on 19 September 1944. Schijndel Sand Dunes. The sand dunes are great cover, so try and take them if you can. Clear the town and keep it open for 30 Corps. Strong German forces are located around the dunes. Let's examine our forces. In this episode, we can choose from US airborne and US infantry units. First, let's recap our airborne units. Airborne BAR teams are the core of the American airborne divisions. They use an automatic rifle, semi-automatic rifles and hand grenades. The team leader is armed with a carbine. Use them on the front line, but they should run or hide from tanks. Airborne rifle teams use semi-automatic rifles and hand grenades. The team leader is armed with a carbine. Use them on the front lines and to hold victory locations. They are useless against tanks. Airborne recon teams are the eyes and ears of the American airborne divisions. They are armed with submachine guns and grenades. Use these teams to scout enemy positions and to perform behind-the-lines operations. Airborne ad hoc rifle teams are low-quality replacement teams. They use semi-automatic rifles and hand grenades. The team leader is armed with a submachine gun. Use them to free up higher quality teams for other duties. Airborne 60mm light mortar teams also contain semi-automatic rifles and hand grenades. Because mortars can shoot over obstacles, position these teams behind buildings or trees. Use them to lay smoke screens. Airborne 30 caliber light machine gun teams include semi-automatic rifles and hand grenades. Position these teams in multi-story buildings or locations with long lines of sight so they can suppress enemy infantry. Now let's choose some US Army infantry units. Assault teams are the shock troops of the American Army. They use submachine guns, semi-automatic rifles, automatic rifles, hand grenades, and demolition charges. Use them to assault German strongholds. Bazooka teams consist of an anti-tank rocket launcher, a semi-automatic rifle, and hand grenades. Not as effective as the Panzerschreck, the bazooka still gives you cheap anti-tank capabilities. The bazooka's effective range is 8 to 80 metres. Ad hoc rifle teams are low-quality replacement teams. They use single-shot rifles and hand grenades. The team leader is armed with a submachine gun. Use them to free up higher quality teams for other duties. The 57mm anti-tank gun is an effective light anti-tank gun. The team also contains rifles and grenades. Best used as an anti-tank weapon, it is also effective against infantry targets. Its high rate of fire makes up for its low armour penetration. 81mm medium mortar teams also contain semi-automatic rifles and hand grenades. Because mortars can shoot over obstacles, position these teams behind buildings or trees. Use them to suppress enemy infantry and lay smoke screens. Next, let's look at the map and do some mission analysis. I will develop a plan and then execute it in the game. Our mission is to defend the Schijndel Dunes in order to protect the highway between Eindhoven and Nijmegen. We have a parachute infantry company from the US 101st Airborne Division, supplemented by infantry, and consisting of an assault squad, 2 BAR squads, a rifle squad, 2 ad hoc rifle squads, and 2 bazookas, with a 60mm mortar detachment, 81mm mortar detachment, 30 caliber machine gun, and 57mm anti-tank gun in support. North is towards the top of the map, and I will focus on the western edge. I have marked 5 areas of interest. Number 1, the sand dunes. These seem like great cover and concealment, but in order to advance, the enemy must either crest the dunes or move through obvious choke points. Number 2, the buildings northwest of Schijndel, a possible forming up point for infantry as they provide a somewhat concealed avenue of approach to break into the town. Number 3, the western edge of Schijndel with 2-storey stone buildings overlooking the dunes. Number 4, the open ground between the town and the dunes, an obvious engagement area. And number 5, a row of buildings south of a small canal providing observation and enfilading fire north-south along the dunes. I have no information about the enemy. I could be facing infantry, tanks, or both. However, I assess they will assault to clear my forces from Schijndel in order to cut the highway between Eindhoven and Nijmegen. The enemy's most likely course of action is an infantry assault, entering the town from the northwest and clearing the town one building at a time from north to south. Once in possession of the town centre, they can take their time clearing the remainder of the area. The enemy's most dangerous course of action is to bring tanks as mobile pillboxes to suppress the buildings on the western edge of town, and then to move across the northern edge of the town into the open ground to cut off my avenues of withdrawal and isolate my forces in the town for destruction by the infantry. Either way, I need a defensive plan to retain control of the centre of the town from assault by infantry and tanks. I also need to apply the lessons learned from American anti-tank engagements with German armour on day 2. In short, place the anti-tank guns rear of the main defensive line to deliver flanking fire against the tanks. The same goes for machine guns against the infantry. So first, I will place the recon squad off to the right flank to provide early warning of enemy movements. They may also probe forward to locate and engage enemy support assets. My infantry forces will occupy a 2-up, 2-back defensive position in the centre of town. The rifle squads are up front, with the assault and BAR squads back and on the flanks, and a bazooka team in depth for use against any tanks that try to break through. I will place the 57mm anti-tank gun to the rear of the position. It will fire into an engagement area and into the flanks of any enemy armour advancing towards the main line of resistance from the west. Meanwhile, I will place my supporting forces off to the left flank with an automatic rifle squad and light machine gun to deliver enfilade fire along the dunes. The canal provides them with protection from infantry assault, and I will place a bazooka with them for protection against tanks. The 2 mortars I will keep well to the rear, defiladed by buildings on the other side of town. Positions which permit flanking fire on approaching tanks are most desirable. Positions near the first terrain feature in the rear of the enemy line of resistance should be selected, provided they permit the desired fire in front of the main line of resistance. We have 30 minutes to achieve our objectives. I will now move my troops into position and execute the plan in real time. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the various courses of action and if you've identified a viable alternative. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more great strategy and tactics content. And so we begin. Immediately, an enemy mortar hits the 57mm gun crew, causing a casualty. Their accuracy is amazing. Also, the enemy has brought tanks. It looks like 2 Mark IV tanks and a Panther. This will be a tough fight. No sooner have my troops in the centre gotten into position than they make contact. Hand-to-hand combat, and an Aufklärer squad is destroyed. To the south, a German MG42 squad moving in the open is cut down. We take more casualties. The ad hoc rifle squad goes to ground. Another Panther. To the north. That makes 4 tanks. The tanks are firing at the western edge of Schijndel, acting as mobile pillboxes. I spot infantry in the open and call in a mortar fire mission. The rest of my troops keep a low profile.
We're under heavy fire. Team redeployed.
My recon squad spots a Flammenwerfer, or flamethrower squad, advancing from the ruins. A grenade sorts them out. Meanwhile, constant machine gun fire from the tanks is causing casualties and suppressing my forces in the town. One of the Mark IV tanks is almost in the engagement area. Then I have the shot. Fire! Miss! Reload! Too late, the tank has moved behind a building. I adjust the mortar as the enemy infantry advance across the dunes under covering fire from the tanks.
We're under heavy fire.
The anti-tank gun waits, peering intently through their gun sight. The assault infantry are having a tough time of it.
We're under heavy fire.
To the north, I locate the Granatwerfer, the German mortar. I sneak my recon squad forward to investigate. A Sturmgrenadier squad has reached the safety of the building on the outskirts of town. A Schützen squad follows close behind. Then hit! The 57mm has knocked out a Panther tank, the first American tank kill of the campaign, and a very impressive start to the American innings. German infantry rush the defensive position and get into hand-to-hand fighting with the rifle squad. The 57mm anti-tank gun fires at the Mark IV and misses. And fires again, but misses. Hit! Third time is a charm, and the tank is destroyed. The second tank kill of the campaign. Placing the anti-tank gun to the rear and firing into the flanks of German armour is definitely working. The German infantry assault founders, and the remnants of 2 enemy squads surrender.
Get me out!
To the north, my recon squad continues its careful progress towards the Granatwerfer.
Team redeployed.
The infantry in the centre go to ground. The Panther is advancing into the engagement area, but just out of line of sight of the gun.
Huh?
Meanwhile, the Mark IV tank has started to engage my BAR squad south of the canal. The BAR squad has done nothing to reveal its location. I place mortar smoke to blind the tank. An explosion as one of the knocked out tanks cooks off. Up north, the recon squad has shot one of the Granatwerfer squad. I order the whole recon squad into the fight. The Granatwerfer squad surrenders.
We're under heavy fire.
On your feet, soldier!
So far, my defense is going according to plan, but I don't have an easy answer against the remaining Panther and Mark IV tank.
We're under heavy fire.
The Mark IV keeps up suppressing fire against the BAR squad. Most of my troops are keeping well out of sight. What the Germans can't see, they can't target.
Team redeployed. Team is in position.
The mortar lets me know they are ready, but there are no targets for them. The Mark IV edges closer to the canal.
Team is in position.
The second bazooka team prepares for the shot. The rocket goes out and misses. Time to reload. I decide to move up the first bazooka team and go tank hunting. The Panther has embedded itself in one of the stone buildings. A second rocket from the second team misses.
Team is in position.
The anti-tank gun is keen to stay in the fight. No doubt they are buoyed by their earlier successes. third rocket misses.
We're under heavy fire.
The first bazooka team sneaks forward.
Team is in position.
The recon team also decides to improve its position.
Team is in position. Team redeployed.
The second bazooka team takes a hit. Private Youst is incapacitated. PFC Robertson's bazooka team is in position but doesn't have a shot.
Team redeployed.
Corporal Anson takes his recon team forward to conduct reconnaissance. So far, his team has eliminated a Flammenwerfer or flamethrower squad and a Granatwerfer or mortar squad for no casualties.
We're pinned down.
Private Youst fires a fourth rocket at the Mark IV. It hits and immobilises the tank. The tank keeps firing, but now it can't move. PFC Robertson's bazooka team takes the shot. Hit! The second Panther is destroyed. The crew bail out and surrender.
Entdeckung! Nicht schießen!
The battle ended because the Germans were routed from the map. The Allies gained control of the area, but the Germans are expected to launch a counterattack later. The German forces took excessive losses. I have made Allied progress of 40 against expected progress of 40 by the end of the day. I suffered 10 KIA and inflicted on the enemy 22 KIA, 11 surrendered, 3 tanks destroyed, and 1 captured. By the way, in case you were wondering, the KIA statistics on this screen include both KIA and seriously wounded, but not lightly wounded. What an outstanding result. The Germans will not threaten Schijndel again today. Let's examine casualties on both sides. First, the Americans. My casualties are spread across the squads, but I have not lost any squads. PFC Robertson and Private O'Neill are awarded the Combat Infantryman's Badge for knocking out the Panther. PFC Odom and PFC Spasido of the 57mm gun are awarded the Bronze Star. Private Grey is awarded the Combat Infantryman's Badge. Well done, all of them. Then the Germans. The Kampfgruppe from the 15th Army is entirely destroyed. Their infantry are either dead, seriously wounded, or surrendered. And they lost 2 Panther tanks and 2 Mark IV tanks. So, what did we learn? First, proper doctrinal placement of the anti-tank assets made a clear difference. Positioned to the rear of the main position and firing into the flanks, the 57mm anti-tank gun and 2 bazooka teams accounted for 2 Panther tanks and 2 Mark IV tanks. Their medals are well earned. Second, due to the suppressing presence of armour, the machine gun and BAR squad on my left flank did not really contribute to the battle. I should have placed one of those squads in the 3-story building next to the anti-tank gun to fire against infantry in the same engagement area. This would have been a more effective use of these assets and would have broken up the German infantry assault without hand-to-hand combat being necessary. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and donate, and stay tuned for the next episode.